Well, I don't think Shashi Tharoor was very empowered at all, but he's the one complaining that Narendra Modi is disempowering his ministers. Why is he complaining? Is he jealous of the fact that he's not a minister anymore? Vani Tripathi Tikku represents the BJP National Secretary. Suresh Prabhu, former Minister for Power, Heavy Industry and Public Enterprises in the NDA government. Dr. Mehboob Beg of the National Conference with the UPA. I think still they are with the UPA. C.R. Kesavan of the Congress Party. Shailesh Gandhi, former CIC and RTI activist, and Sunil Alag. He likes Modi and he's chairman of SK Advisors. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. What's your problem, Mr. Kesavan? Narendra Modi is talking to secretaries and you start complaining and taunting. I mean, for 8 years, Manmohan Singh did nothing. For 8 years, he allowed bureaucrats to be throttled, bullied, work to get paralyzed. He let scams happen. He let scamsters get away, and he said nothing. Now, for the first time after 8 years, Narendra Modi is telling the bureaucrats, peace, feel free. And you already start complaining. What kind of desperation is this, Mr. Kesavan? And by the way, this is open debate, so we are not taking turns. We are going into an open debate after the first question to the Congress spokesperson.
First response I need to give is I think it's very unfortunate and sad that you say nothing happened in the last 8 years. I think though the mandate was against us, I think the people still know that we did good. You know, though we may have some shortcomings and misgivings, I think it's...
You don't even appear convinced when you are saying that.
The government did nothing.
You don't even appear convinced yourself when you say that.
The people need to be convinced, Arnab, not you. If the people of India are looking at me and
the people just rejected you 2 weeks back.
Convince Mr. Arnab Goswami.
Yeah, the people rejected you 2 weeks back.
Humbly. We take the
argue on fact.
Arnab, the problem, the problem is, Arnab, when we start, a debate with you, there is a difference. I like to point out this. A debate is, when you argue, when you say what is right, but an argument is, about who is right. With you, it's always an argument. You should name the super primetime debate rather, argument one and argument two.
I'm sorry,
so first,
I'm sorry, I can't give you. I'm sorry if you were expecting a standing applause on the news hour. I'm not in the habit of giving that to any politician, including
Not at all. But first let me answer your question. If you let the people answer questions. First thing I'd like to say is this: the Congress Party is not complaining. The Congress Party.
Of course, you're complaining.
Fact, you just no. Just listen to me, please. Let's take Narendra Modi ji meeting secretaries is fine. It's his prerogative. But the thing is, he said anybody can come to him on policy issues and discuss.
Yeah.
Let me make 3 points. The first thing is this: when you have a structure, maybe Narendra Modi ji is used to working like he's worked in a state government. Many state governments do this. Probably most of them deal with the secretaries in the state government directly, but it works differently in a central government. In the state government, when files go, mostly a minister.
Please don't give us an education on how governments run. Come on, you're not the only party of governance. Now I'm taking she's had a hand up for a long time. I think I'm going to.
Decisions which are taken.
I think I'm going to the BJP spokesperson.
By doing this, Mr. Narendra Modi ji has undermined the role of the union minister, because every time a file goes, the secretary of the union minister.
I'll tell you that. No, just why I'd like to point one thing out to you. I'd like to point.
That's the problem.
No, 1 second. I want to point one thing before I go to Vani. And by the way, Mr. Kesavan, I don't want to argue with you, but I cannot let you make such factually incorrect comments on Newshour, and I can't let you get away with it. I'll tell you what empowerment for Manmohan Singh was. There is this man called Ketan Desai. I think he's notorious for the Medical Council of India scam. A health secretary called Kesav Desi Raju says that, this man coming back in any way is not a good thing. And do you know what Manmohan Singh did? He empowered his ministers so much that this poor bureaucrat got transferred on flimsy grounds. Now that's corruption, I think. That's corruption and nepotism. That's not empowerment. Vani Tripathi Tikku wanted to counter you. The debate is open. Vani.
Mr. Kesavan, I remember also the day of the result when I had said to you very humbly, as a political worker of another party, let the Congress Party get out of the sense of denial that it's facing towards its own self, and also look within and introspect before you start pointing fingers at a government which is already giving a roadmap of better governance and probably good governance to the country. This is almost like, asking a fast bowler on a cricket pitch, okay, you ball fast, but why do you swing the ball? So, you know, the problem is that by doing such things, you are just furthermore desecrating also the memory, whatever
Nobody
little
is
is left of a
questioning
government which was plagued by a term called policy paralysis. For the past decade,
Okay,
all we
this
heard
is
was policy paralysis, and all the more so in the past 5
bypassing the
years.
ministers will be a
So
recipe for ghost
when
law
you
governance,
give,
Vani ji. Bypassing the ministers
when you
will be a sure recipe
Mr.
for ghost law
Kesavan,
governance.
Mr. Kesavan, when you give breathing space to a bureaucracy which is ready to govern and work with a great council of ministers, you don't hit them on the head. You actually
I think
applaud them, even if you are the
Nobody
party
hit
which
them
is
on the
sitting
head.
in the
Nobody
opposition or trying to sit in the opposition right now. And let me tell you,
implications this whole decision is fraught with.
let me tell you tonight. No, let me tell you.
Go ahead.
What Arnab Goswami is asking you is very important. Very important. A government which is plagued by scams, which was plagued by all kinds of corruption charges, which actually not just throttled the bureaucracy, vertically divided its own council of ministers. That government should not be given gyan to anybody else. And be ready, Mr. Kesavan, tell your party, be ready for a systemic change.
Systemic change.
Systemic change will be better governance.
No, Mr. Kesavan, you are appearing disturbed tonight. Mr. Kesavan.
Interactive approach with the bureaucracy and better governance for the country. Better governance.
Mr. Kesavan, I know.
Ministers with independent charge.
No, I know, Mr. Kesavan, listen to me.
Independent charge.
Listen to me.
Have multiple portfolios, and every time the secretary and the minister wants to take a go ahead from the prime minister, it will be undue delay. And
Mr. Kesavan, I'll tell you something. Mr. Kesavan, listen to me. I have something to say to you.
Let me make a
Should
point.
you choose to listen, I want to say something to you. I want to say something
Then
to
you
you.
let me make a point after that.
Yeah, but
You
listen
let me
to
make
me.
a point after
No,
that.
listen to me. Watch it. There are other participants. There are 6 participants, only 2 have
Kesavan,
spoken.
you made many points. Now let us make a point.
I just want to make one point
Go ahead,
before
sir.
that. Can I come in between both of you and make one point? Mr. Kesavan, the only thing worse, I think, than being wiser in hindsight is not being wiser even in hindsight. You understand what I'm telling you? There was a 2G scam, Mr. Kesavan, right? And this man called PC Parekh kept telling your government, move to a transparent process of allocating coal blocks. The coal scam. He kept telling you, move towards a transparent system. How did your government, Mr. Kesavan, reward this man? It named him in the FIR over the allocation of the Talabira 2 coal block to Hindalco. This man kept complaining, there is a coal mafia, Mr. Prime Minister. There is a coal mafia, Mr. Prime Minister. He went and met the Prime Minister and he was told, just do what the ministers are telling you. Today, I think you are disturbed that some of these bureaucrats may come and expose some other scams. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not saying they happen. Maybe some other scams happen. Maybe they will now reveal what was going on between 2004 and 2014. Now, Sunil Alak wanted to come in. Sunil.
Bureaucrats being...
Mr. Alak.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Kesavan, I just want to make one point. So far, there is a change in culture. You cannot stop the change in culture. As far as y'all were running the government as an autopilot, here's a person who is saying, I am taking charge and I'm going to run it. The ministers in his government have to complain. What are you complaining about? They have understood, they have said, he had a meeting with all the ministers. I'm sure all the ministers are aware that he's having a meeting with all the bureaucrats. He's making it an open door policy. He wants to bring transparency. We know we have great skilled bureaucrats. He's asked them to make a presentation. What stopped you from performing in the last 5 years? They've all come and made a 15-minute presentation. You are so unaware of what's happening. That's the tragedy. They are saying, therefore he's saying, all right, now go ahead and perform.
1 second.
I'm with you. I want people who perform. What's wrong with the culture? What's wrong with the change in culture? You've got suddenly great concern. Mr. Tharoor is just making a statement now.
Why is there a purported gag order on the ministers to speak? If that is the case, sir, why is there a purported gag order as written in the
Who is
papers
putting a gag?
that the minister
Where,
should
I
be
think
on
you have
policy?
information.
Where's the gag order? Who put the gag order?
Don't you think
There
that's
is
what
no
undermines
gag.
the minister?
Excuse me.
Is there a gag order?
No gag,
There was a
Kesavan.
purpose, there were
Come
articles
on.
in the paper which said the minister
There is
can't
no
speak
gag.
on policy issues. You think this is going to strengthen the bureaucracy? Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel said this bureaucracy is a steel frame on which the
What are you
structure of
talking about?
administration and governance
Kesavan
relies.
knows more
If
about
you don't
what
ask
Mr.
the
Modi
minister
is
to
doing
speak
than
about policy.
the cabinet. Yeah.
No,
You don't-
it
you
was
don't-
reported in the papers, Mr. Alan.
Where is this? Where have you got this
Kesavan, one
information?
understands. No,
You're
no,
talking
Where have you
one
got this information?
understands.
This is
One-
it's in
one
the
under-
Deccan
one-
Herald on May 29th.
one-
It's in the first
one
post today.
understands.
You're
No, no,
you're
no,
talking
no,
about
no.
red tape, but this is the
One-
gag tape on the ministers. What will the ministers do if they can't speak
Really?
about
And
policy?
you are so-
In the
no, no,
UP,
one second.
you had free
One
legislative consultation.
understands.
You had,
One-
Your
policy
Congress
design
minister,
and
every
understand.
minister had his
Now
own
you say the
policy.
minister cannot speak
One
on policy.
second. In
It's
Congress,
just
every
bypassing
minister had his
You're
own
putting a gag
policy.
order on the ministers.
Kesavan, everyone had his own policy.
This is a one-man show, sir.
Yeah, gag.
This is
Your
a one-man
ungagging,
show. No, but-
your ungagging led to 20 policies in the government.
Arnab, it's so sad that on this debate tonight,
You know, you
see a
think the
Congress
ministers are being
spokesperson
undermined.
and his frustration and the dilemma that they are going through. How do they actually digest the fact that this government wants to be interactive? The Prime Minister wants to be interactive, and instead of understanding that, it's so
Then why don't
sad
the ministers
and what a
interact with the
waste of
press?
energy on
Why
the
is
part
there
of
a
the
gag order?
Congress
If they want to be
spokesperson.
No, no,
We
one
need
second.
to
Interact with the
understand this.
press.
Of course, you will see. I'm saying this is systemic change. Be ready for it. If you are not ready for it, it will again see you as a
the
mandate that
ministers
you
won't
got in
speak
the
to the press
election.
and no, they
It
should
will
not
be-
speak
it
on
will be-
policy
it will be
issues.
gaping at you.
Who
You will
is
be
saying
gaping at
that?
horror.
No, no,
You
one
will be
second.
gaping at it in horror.
No, I'll tell you. No, one second. I'll tell you the kind of comments. Mr. Kesavan tonight is very scared about ministers not being allowed to speak to the press. Now, I know of a few Congress ministers.
I know.
I know
It's
of
so
a few
sad
Congress
that someone
ministers
as young as
who-
Kesavan is not encouraging an open door policy.
Mr. Kesavan is simply giving the party line. I know of certain Congress
I mean, he's
ministers who
behaving like
spoke
a
a lot to the
90-year-old
press.
man. He wants the old system to continue.
And I'll tell you what they said to the press. There was a minister, what's his name? Jairam Ramesh. Mr. Ramesh said that the Indian bureaucracy is the world's most dangerous animal. This is the kind of ridiculous comment that Jairam Ramesh made. He said the world's most dangerous animal is the Indian bureaucracy. One needs immense strength to deal with it. In other words, ministers like Jairam Ramesh, and I'd like to go across next to Suresh Prabhu, what they wanted to do was control the bureaucrats. Keep a leash on them. And you know what happened, Mr. Kesavan? Your ministers then started fighting, and what a fight it was. A fight that cost the nation. Projects
Let's
worth
focus on
5
the
lakh
issue.
crores, I
Why
will
is there a
speak the
gag order
truth.
on the ministers?
For projects worth 5 lakh crores were not working because Jayanti Natarajan and Chidambaram and Veerappa Moily, everybody was having a fight. And eventually this had to be cleared, but it was too late. This is the right royal mess you left the country in, Mr. Kesavan. And you are now complaining that the Prime Minister is meeting secretaries. I mean, that's completely
We're not
ridiculous.
complaining, we're pointing out that there is a gag order and the secretaries are being bypassed. It's not good.
Really? And what kind of gag order did you put over the CBI? No, this is too much. What kind of a gag order? What kind of a gag order did you put over the CBI?
Concern.
Have you
Who
forgotten?
is given?
Have you forgotten what gag order you put over the
What
CBI?
gag order is Mr. Kesavan talking
You
about?
reduced the CBI to being called a caged
No,
parrot.
who has told Mr.
You're answering
Kesavan?
like a BJP panelist.
Who has
Mr.
told
Kesavan, the
Mr.
truth hurts. It pinches
That is
you
a
very
gag
hard.
order.
Like a BJP panelist.
It pinches you very hard tonight. But is it true or not that the?
I think.
One second.
I think Mr. Kesavan has not seen. I think Arnab, just 5 seconds. Mr. Kesavan has not seen Mr. Nitin Gadkari's press conference today. He has not heard Dr. Harshvardhan talk in the past few days. He has not heard from any of our ministers. In his own head, he has fabricated a gag order, and he's telling so, which is all a bunch of lies.
Wow.
There is no gag order. It will be a very interactive government, and you've
Why
been seeing
is the
ministers
BJP
talk
panelist getting
every
so
single
active when
day.
we ask
The
questions?
sad part is,
Shailesh
the
Gandhi.
sad part
You
is
asked
you
that
cannot
question for 10
digest that
years.
they are talking
We
about
have just
policy.
begun.
They are not. They are
you
not
asked that
able to.
question for
You are not
10
able to
years.
digest.
I think
their
Mr.
answer about
Kesavan-
policy.
One second, Mr. Kesavan.
One second,
This is
Mr.
the 10
Kesavan,
please
Mr. Kesavan,
answer.
I
When
think
somebody asks a
you
question, we can
prefer
answer. We answer.
Very
empowered
good.
ministers like
Very
Kalmadi and Raja and a completely disempowered Prime Minister. Is that what you are propagating? Mr. Narendra Modi seems to be doing this right
Yeah, that's
in
right.
terms of transparency. I'm not a Narendra Modi fan. Certainly not. But I'm saying what he's doing today appears to be right. The people of India have voted him, have faith in him, and let's give 6 months to see what he's actually saying is, I am willing to take responsibility for anything that goes wrong. And I see nothing wrong with it. That is the sign, sir, of a good leadership, of a good leader which the country needs.
A simple question on centralization of power, since Mr. Kesavan does not like centralization of power. I am absolutely sure, Mr. Kesavan, that there is no centralization of power in the Congress. I am sure that the Gandhis are but one cog in the wheel in the large Congress infrastructure, and there is no centralization of power in Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi.
Are you debating about the government or the Gandhis, Arnab?
No, I am not.
Are you debating about the government and
No,
Mr.
I said
Modi
I am
being
sure
the
there
secretary
isn't.
to the
Why are you
Gandhis?
getting upset? Did I say? I said I am sure there isn't.
Not at all. You can see
You think there is?
I'm hardly getting upset here. I'm just asking you a simple question.
Yeah. What is your simple
There is
question?
going to be such a sheen of opaqueness. I think it's not a good. Doesn't augur well. That's what I'm saying.
I am
still agree
completely
with the gentleman
transparent.
who said we should give BJP.
Where is it opaque? Where?
I'm not saying no.
No, you see, tonight it's very interesting.
I'm not saying anything, but
Tonight it's very interesting. There is no, I am sure, I am absolutely sure,
Let me give you an example.
I am absolutely sure there was no centralization of power in the Manmohan Singh government.
Let's say
Mr. Kesavan.
the secretary of a ministry has to speak to the joint secretary in a PMO. The secretary will be so high in hierarchy, he'll have difficulty in speaking to your joint secretary.
I thought by the way, I have just two things to say to you. Mr. Kesavan, I have two things to say to you. Suresh Prabhu has to speak. Suresh Prabhu and Mehboob Beg have not even come into the debate. I have just two small observations to make. Too small, and don't interrupt me. It will be useful. You can use these points for your arguments. The first point I'd like to say to you is that the first Prime Minister who began the practice of going straight to secretaries, in fact to joint secretaries, and you can call, some of them are SMSing me right now, I'm just not giving their name out, was Rajiv Gandhi. He began this practice. Secondly, I am absolutely sure there was no centralization of power in the Manmohan Singh government. I am sure that the whole country was dreaming or hallucinating that there were 50 GOMs and EGOMs which at one point of time were being headed by a person called Pranab Mukherjee, who is now the President of India. I am sure that was some hallucination that the country was going through. And I am sure you are absolutely correct, therefore, Mr. Kesavan.
The efficacy of the GOMs and EGOMs are very different. Let us see the kind, by abolishing
Suresh
the
Prabhu,
EGOMs, you
Suresh Prabhu,
what kind of delay
I'd like to bring in Suresh Prabhu. Suresh Prabhu, you've heard the arguments, why don't you come in?
I will not blame my friends in the Congress for saying this, because they had forgotten what the Prime Minister's office is all about. Because 10 years there was no visibility of a Prime Minister's action. What Narendra Modi as a Prime Minister is doing in the last 9 days is something which actually every Prime Minister should have been doing. He is only trying to take reins of power in his hands. He is trying to govern the country. People in Congress may have forgotten the constitutional provision. The Prime Minister is head of the government. The government constitutes political leadership, which is represented by the ministers, but also government includes the bureaucratic leadership, which is the secretaries and their subordinates. So all these people together form the government of which Mr. Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister is head of it. What he is doing? He is only calling the secretaries and telling them, because last 10 years they are so demoralized, they are not taking any action, and my friend was saying that government was paralyzed. I think paralysis means the half of the body is working, but it was not paralyzed, it was completely in coma. Last 10 years there was no action, there was no visibility that the body is moving, and therefore what Mr. Modi is doing, he is trying to move both the arms of the state, of the government, the political leadership. He has told the minister that I want accountability, I want outcome-oriented governance. Secondly, he is telling the bureaucrats that please go ahead, act on your own, be innovative, take your decisions. If any new ideas, please come to me. Not only my doors are open, my email box is open for you. Now, person like this saying is obviously, I will understand, I will sympathize with my friends in Congress. Because they would be now really petrified, because in just 7-8 days, Narendra Modi does like this. There are another 52 days left for this year, 52 weeks left for this year, and another 4 years. So, I can understand him, I fully sympathize with him. But please try to understand that what Mr. Modi is doing is only in the constitutional provisions as a head of the government, as a Prime Minister of India. Few other things which we have forgotten, the type of initiative he has taken only in 1 week. Can you imagine? We always say that week is a long time in politics, but he has proved that in 1 week how much could be done. And this is only on foreign policy. This is on social sectors. This is actually making the arm of the state to move fast. And this is what he has done. So I think I really feel that Congress should have congratulated him, because 10 years of inaction is being now moved into fast motion. I think 1 week, if it can be done like this, you can imagine what would happen. And just imagine the mood in India. You know, I have been telling, because I have been traveling, the people are saying that, you know, now we want to come back to India. We want to do business with India. Indian industrialists who have just shut their shop, they are saying now we want to really go ahead. This is a great opportunity. The earlier Prime Minister was saying unleash the animal spirit. So only spirit that was lost was the animals, probably because they also didn't know where to hide. Now this is the first time we are seeing that the Indian business, Indian industry, Indian entrepreneurs, they are really moving ahead. The whole world wants to come in. So why we really should put...
No, one second. Mr. Kesavan, I must let Mehboob Beg in. Mr. Kesavan, I must let Mehboob Beg in. I will give you a full turn. I will give you a full turn, but Mehboob Beg... No, one second. Let Mehboob Beg speak. He is one of the few remaining members of the UPA. Please don't stop him from speaking. You need his support. Now, and they are still with you. They are still with you. Thank you. Thank you. You see, first of all, acute observation there of coma that Suresh Prabhu makes. Right? I will give one example. Suresh Prabhu in the NDA government was the person who headed Vajpayee's interlinking of rivers committee. He used to sit in the Prime Minister's office, and that was one of Vajpayee's key projects. Mr. Prabhu, you know, I'm sure you look back on those years. What I think you don't know, you make the observation on coma, and I'll use this to take the point forward with Mehboob Beg. Did you know, Mr. Suresh Prabhu, that there was among these 50, 100 group of ministers, there was one GOM of interlinking of rivers? Mehboob Beg, you know what is coma? Coma is a situation where nothing happens, where a person is neither dead nor alive, but the person is incapable at that point of time of responding. Mr. Mehboob Beg, this will go down in Ripley's, believe it or not. But the GOM on the interlinking of rivers did not have even one meeting during the entire Manmohan Singh tenure. Not one meeting. And I can right now, because Mr. Kesavan is protesting too much, if he wants, I can name 6 or 7 other GOMs, Mr. Beg, which did not have a single meeting. With that kind of record, can you question why Narendra Modi is asking the secretaries to do more and report more directly to him? Mr. Beg.
Arnab, I very well know what coma means because I am a medical doctor. So you should be pretty sure that I know what coma is. Having said that, I think the government is in place. The government is there only for the last 10 days. And it will be extremely premature to make a judgment on what they have been doing or what they are going to do. But the simple point here is we have a definite system in place. If he wants to achieve things, he's a man in hurry, let him do whatever he wants to do. If it's good for the country, good luck to him. But question is, we have a system in place. We haven't changed the system. We are not working in America where we have presidential
what is the
system where everybody reports to the president and he does the rest of it. We are still living in a parliamentary type of democracy. There is something called cabinet. And I don't think you can bypass the cabinet. And
sir, but there was no cabinet.
You have to change the
There was
system.
no cabinet under Manmohan Singh. There were only
that's
GOMs.
right.
1 second, counters coming in. Counters. Vani has a counter. Wait, Shailesh Gandhi has a counter first.
Rajiv Gandhi used to talk to secretaries and their juniors also. I don't know from where you've come up with this fiction that everything that Manmohan Singh is the practice and precedent that India must follow.
No. Tonight, Mr. Mehboob Beg says there is a system. I want to ask you, Mr. Mehboob Beg, there was a GOM on the setting up of the Amritsar-Kolkata industrial corridor. It did not meet even once. Is that part of our system? There was a GM on pension and post-retirement medical schemes for Food Corporation of India employees. It did not meet even once. There was a GOM on the amendment to the Minimum Wages Act of 1948. It did not meet even once. No, now you say you know what coma is, therefore...
Arnab, that shouldn't...
No.
Yeah, that's right. I am not saying whatever has happened is all right. No, nobody says that. If something has happened which is wrong, wrong is
Mr.
wrong.
Beg, what happened?
Wrong is wrong.
No,
But
Mr.
what
Beg.
I'm saying is that
Mr.
there is
Beg.
a system in place.
Mr. Beg.
One cannot bypass a system.
No, how
There
is this
a
bypassing
thin
the system?
line
How is
which
this
demarcates-
bypassing the
Is the
system?
system the Constitution of India? Is the system
Arnab,
Why
part
are
of the
you
law?
pitting bureaucrats
From where are you
against
getting this system?
politicians? Whether it's a bureaucrat or a politician, everybody has to work in tandem.
No,
Why
one
do
second,
we
one second,
pit
one minute,
one
Two
against
more voices
another?
coming in. Sunil Alag and Vani Tripathi. Sunil Alag first.
Arnab,
Why are they assuming that the ministers are being bypassed? This has been done perhaps in consultation
Yes.
with the ministers,
Yes.
where they've told the prime minister is telling all the bureaucrats, please help everybody. Who is bypassing anything? Why are they assuming that all ministers don't exist? All the secretaries are reporting to the prime minister. Utter nonsense. He has just motivated the entire team. Please work with your ministers. Please perform. If there is anybody in the government who is not performing, even if a minister comes in your way, please come and talk to me. It's an open system. It's a new culture. It's what the younger generation in the world wants. And I'm surprised that someone like Keshavan wants to fall into, he's the younger person. He's falling into the same bureaucratic red tape. I will joint secretary will go. That's all.
Arnab.
No, Vani Tripathi after that. Mr. Kesavan, after Vani, please. After Vani, I'll give you a full turn.
I just want to tell Mr. Beg, he's such a senior, such a revered politician, also one of the last few, associates of the UPA, as you pointed out. Being interactive does not mean, being interactive means being more democratic. Being interactive means that you open door for further more debate and there is more free flow of ideas. Let me remind Mr. Beg and Mr. Kesavan that the 2G scam, and I'm again underlining this, happened because of the snubbing of some of the most
Hear
senior
that.
bureaucrats of the country who stood in the
that.
way of Mr. Raja. And then in 2007, when those senior bureaucrats left, including Mr. Mathur, everybody knows the story. It is then in 10 days flat the scam happened. So it means that there was so much of the bureaucracy which was actually not letting scams break out, and yet when those senior bureaucrats were snubbed by the last government, it is then those scams broke out. So let me tell you, empowering the bureaucracy means greater transparency, better governance.
We therefore
better governance.
And
that is what we need to remember.
We therefore move from a situation, Mr. Kesavan, full turn will be given to you to respond. We are moving from a situation where we had a prime minister who did nothing and who blamed everybody else. He was in fact not just a prime minister. He was an arm's length prime minister. He kept an arm's length note with regards to the 2G scam. He blamed Raja's induction on coalition politics. In his last press conference, he claimed he was the one who wanted auctions for the 2G spectrum. On the floor of the House in August 2013, he says, though I am the custodian of the coal files, I don't know where on earth the coal files are. So what was Manmohan Singh's principal contribution to Indian governance was to deny all responsibility. You realize that, Mr. Kesavan. Now, one second. Mr. Kesavan, 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds.
You said you'll give me a full chance.
10 seconds. 10 seconds. Is it fair for a government?
Charitable words against a former prime minister. You're an Indian. Use charitable words against a former
Why
prime
should I
minister.
use charitable words against a former prime minister?
To this country.
Why should I use charitable words against a former prime minister? I have every right to criticize a former prime minister. What do you mean? A former prime minister is not a deity for me?
Let us debate. You please let us speak about the
Please
point.
don't tell me that I have to use certain words about a former prime minister. I've said nothing disrespectful.
Nobody is complaining. Nobody is copying. We are still saying this. Policy decisions on a macro level should be made by the people who are elected by the people of India. The representatives elected by the people of India will decide the broad contours. Modi ji has said in his meeting, all of you can come directly and deal with me on policy issues. That is the problem, because the bureaucrats, we need the bureaucrats' guidance. The civil servants have to be impartial and fair and they contribute to policy making. But if the policy making is the foremost right of the elected representatives, and the elected representatives don't have a say in policy making, especially the ministers, there is going to be a problem because it won't reflect the will of the people.
Modi is a Lok Sabha MP. Manmohan Singh wasn't even a Lok Sabha MP.
Where is he getting this information?
Half of your ministers, Nirmala Sitharaman, Prakash Javadekar, are not even member of parliament. Nirmala Sitharaman
Where are
and Prakash
you?
Javadekar are not even members of
Even the
parliament.
present Prime
Even the
Minister,
Rajya Sabha
6
MP.
months later, if he is not performing,
No, one minute. Suresh Prabhu to respond to Mr. Kesavan's argument.
Let's talk about the debate.
No.
All we are saying is
No,
this,
one
let
second.
the policy be the realm of the politicians and the people represented
Why?
and the MPs and the ministers. Let the
What
people
good have you done?
Don't completely negate the rule of the ministers.
No, 1 second. I want Suresh Prabhu to respond. Suresh Prabhu.
But who is saying it?
1 second. Suresh Prabhu, let politicians decide.
Yeah.
I don't know. By conclusion, therefore, I believe that the 77 secretaries who Narendra Modi met yesterday, Mr. Kesavan
they should
expects
guide
them.
and help.
Mr. Kesavan believes that they should be.
Don't contort my words, Mr. Arnab. I said
I
they
have
should
not
guide and
even
help
said
is very
anything.
important, but the broad
Don't be
contours-
so much on the
No,
defensive.
The broad contours have to be decided by the elected representatives.
I believe-
The guidance of the bureaucracy is important.
No, one
the bureaucracy cannot decide the policy on its own. They
Oh,
have to
don't
do it
get
in
angry.
tandem. By
Sonia Gandhi
giving them
was
direct-
All I'm saying is that you possibly expect.
By giving them
Sonia
direct-
Gandhi-
You know, 77.
I
No,
agree.
one sec. 77 secretaries. 77 secretaries to the government of India, right? Who between them will have more than 2,500 years, okay, of administrative experience. In your view, you want them to be rubber stamps? What kind of argument is that?
Please
Mr.
rewind
Kesavan
what I
will.
said.
Mr. Kesavan.
Please rewind what I
Suresh
said.
Prabhu will
Please
respond to
rewind
you.
and play what I said. I said they should guide.
Yeah.
Rewind and
Suresh
play.
Prabhu will
What
respond to you.
I said they should guide.
First of all, every ministry has a minister and then there is a secretary. All the secretaries administratively report to the minister as well as to the cabinet secretary, who is the head of the bureaucracy. Whom does the cabinet secretary report to? Cabinet secretary reports to the prime minister. So all the secretaries in turn have a dual reporting system in which their head of bureaucrats, which is the cabinet secretary, also reports to the prime minister. So the prime minister has every right to really talk to his secretaries. In fact, he should be happy that he is not sitting in his ivory tower and saying,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to talk to the
Absolutely.
secretaries. He went and shook hands with every secretary. This is the first prime minister probably. He took around the entire South Block office of the prime minister. He went to every room of his office and actually trying to motivate people. I don't understand what is his argument. We are a democracy in which we are thinking that we are some superior. So this prime minister
No,
is
in
saying,
this democracy-
I'm not somebody. I'm
Okay.
one of you. I want to
I
work
have
with
two
you.
counter
And this is
questions
what-
to
what is
I
the
have
objection?
I have
don't
two
understand.
counter questions to the BJP. 1 second. All this is all very fine, right? Now I'm not playing devil's advocate for devil's advocate's sake, but I think we must keep some perspective. As per news reports, Narendra Modi has allotted deadlines for the Environment and Forest Ministry to clear projects, right? And apparently it has been said that decide this in a few days, clear all the projects smoothly, etc., without, of course, compromising rules and regulations. In this system, I'm just wondering whether Prime Minister himself says there's a 7-day time limit for the Environment Minister to give clearances. I'm just, which minister and which bureaucrat will have the courage to not clear a project? I mean, that bureaucrat or minister will then think about it, right? Will then think that my job is going to be on the line if I try and take a position that is different from that which has been informally communicated by the Prime Minister of India. You understand what I'm saying? A second point. No, Vani, you get my point, right? Now, second point, where I want to really see, let's see, we want an empowered bureaucracy. Now, there are instances where members of the bureaucracy have been alleged to have misused their position. My question is, will the Ministry of Home Affairs under the BJP give sanction to prosecute Intelligence Bureau officers who have been charge-sheeted in the Ishrat Jahan case? That's true freeing of the bureaucracy. You understand what? No. You see, if it applies this way, then I also want the same freedom in the Ishrat Jahan case. I'd expect that there should be same freedom for environment clearances. You understand, Vani?
Arnab, yes, I do, but it's very clear. It's very clear. Every possible probe that had to be done, whether it was the Ishrat Jahan case, whether it was the 2002 riots, and you know this, and you've been reporting on this, and you have been debating about this. Every possible probe was done by the previous government. And let me tell you one thing about Mr. Narendra Bhai Modi. He is a man who stands for justice, even if it meant, while he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, putting every possible scanner on him and his government, and of course the people who were a part of the governance structure. Similarly, when he says it, He means it. Give it time and please.
No, you're not
let
giving
us
a specific
not-
reply
let
to
us
the
not
two questions
throttle
I
the
raised.
bureaucracy tonight.
No, no, I
by
do-
speaking in this.
No, you're not giving us.
I'm giving a specific reply.
No, I raised two-
When
On
he's
environment.
giving a task, when he's giving a task
on
as the Prime
environment.
Minister, when he's giving a task to the ministers,
no.
when he's giving a task to the bureaucrats, it means that he wants better governance. He wants a parameter of better governance, and that is why
You
he
see,
said,
no.
come
Ma'am,
to me, talk to
ma'am,
me,
on
you are
environment,
accountable to me.
people
Which
have
means
a
I'm a team
legitimate
player
concern.
and you're a part of my
No,
team.
no.
Ma'am, if you'll allow me, on environment, citizens have a legitimate concern that maybe we are saying this government appears to be wanting to ride roughshod over environmental concerns. If that happens, you are damaging the future of India.
Absolutely
and
not.
If that happens,
Absolutely not.
lot of us-
Absolutely
No,
not.
so then-
months from now,
Let
we'll be critical
let
of
these
Mr. Modi.
7 days pass.
Arnab, what
Let
about
these
GST
7 days
got
pass.
reinstated?
No riding
Vani ji was
roughshod
talking
over
about,
anyone is possible.
Yeah.
This is not the way this government will function. It is very clear.
Arnab, how
Let
many
these
people
7
have
days
Vani,
pass.
counter question
How
from
many
counter question from Kesavan to you.
cases have been spoken about.
Vani, there's a
Let
counter
these
question
7
for you.
days pass.
How many police officers are in jail? And why is GL Singhal been, respectfully reinstated now? Who has been, who's played such a role in Jan encounter. Let's not get into all that.
Mr.
I just want to
Mr.
focus on the
Kesavan,
debate. Nobody is
Mr.
criticizing it. No,
Kesavan,
let us not
every
digress to Gujarat.
single,
We are talking
Mr.
about
Kesavan,
reaching out
your
to the
government,
bureaucracy.
no.
There is nothing wrong in reaching out to the bureaucracy.
Listen to me. If you have a
Don't
question,
undermine
let
the
me
vote of
answer.
the people
Every
by
single,
letting go of the minister's responsibility by
every
bypassing the
single
minister.
probe that
That
your
is the
government
issue.
could do
The issue-
on the Gujarat
No,
government,
the
on the
issue is
Chief
simple.
Minister of Gujarat, on
No, no.
Narendra Bhai Modi,
The
you
issue-
did. You did.
Why-
Tell me,
the
what did
issue
you
is-
find
no,
with
why
the
are
SIT
there
probe, with
32
every
police
single
officers
probe
in
you
jail?
did? What did you
Why are
find?
they both- why are
What
they
was the
both
finding?
police
Did it
officers in
implicate the Chief
Gujarat?
Minister
Now,
of that
that is not the
time?
issue.
Did it
The
implicate the
issue
Chief
is
Minister of that
independent.
time?
No, you see.
Please, no. Answer my question. When you talk about investigation, when you're talking about a probe,
That is the issue.
when you're talking about an investigation,
point is- the
answer
point
this
is-
tonight. Answer this
No, no.
tonight.
What
Where
about
did
GS?
you find?
What about
Where did you
No,
find
the
Narendra
point
Bhai
is-
Modi
What about
implicated
GS?
for any of the
Sir,
investigations
just
that you
remember
did
one
on
thing.
him?
If
Did
you
you
want to
find
talk about
anything
Gujarat,
ever?
Remember one thing.
Did you
Remember
find
one
anything
thing.
ever?
We are
You
talking
did
about
not.
the
You
Remember,
did
no,
not.
one second. Remember one thing. The Congress government stifled bureaucrats. It punished bureaucrats who spoke out. It transferred bureaucrats who
Absolutely.
spoke out. It ruined the careers of honest bureaucrats. It allowed a string of corrupt
what about Rahul
ministers.
Sharma? No.
It allowed
Arnab,
a
you
string
can't
of
just go
corrupt
on.
ministers
What about
to
Rahul
run
Sharma who was
roughshod over
transferred 20
bureaucrats.
times?
And
What
tonight,
about Rahul Sharma, the Bhavnagar
tonight,
SP?
tonight,
Don't talk about that.
Tonight,
You're just being, again selective.
Tonight, before
You're being selective.
leave everything partisan out of
Mr.
it.
Kesavan,
Leave everything
Mr.
partisan out of it.
Kesavan,
No,
Mr.
Now let him
Kesavan,
complete.
in your
Let him
government,
complete. Let Mr.
in
Arnab
your
complete.
government,
I want Mr. Arnab to complete his
no,
point. Let
no,
Mr.
no,
Arnab
wait a
complete
minute,
his
wait a
point.
minute.
Let him complete
You
his
have
point.
forgotten the rules of the game, Mr. Kesavan. Now that you're out of
You-
power, I just need to remind you about the rules of the game. During your
I think
government,
the problem
you
is
not
you-
only
I think the
stifled
problem is you're
bureaucrats,
so
the
defensive.
role of the
If somebody
ministers
even
was
asks you
also
put up a
stifled.
constructive-
The
if
role of the
somebody gives you a
ministers was
constructive
also
suggestion, you're so
stifled.
defensive.
And so,
Why are you-
and
the
so,
Congress
and
party
so,
is talking about the
Mr.
implications.
Kesavan,
Why
have
are
the
you
courage
so
to listen.
defensive on it,
Have the
Tripati?
courage
There is
to
no need to
listen.
be
Have the
defensive.
courage to
No,
listen,
we are just
Mr.
saying that you are
Kesavan.
centralizing the
No,
power
no,
of the
no, no.
PMO.
How
Independence of
long?
the ministry is
How
going to be
long?
affected. Why
How
are you
long
being
will you
defensive?
keep
This is going to
harping?
play out.
How
This is going to
long,
play
Mr.
out in the
Kesavan,
next
will you
1
keep
year or so.
harping?
I just want
How long
to
will
give
you
a word
keep
to Mehboob Beg.
harping?
Mehboob Beg.
Answer this.
No, Mehboob Beg.
Answer this.
Mehboob Beg.
How
Mehboob Beg,
will
there
you
is a
treat
no,
Indian
one second. Mehboob
ministers
Beg,
of
Wani, 1 minute.
tenure?
Mehboob Beg, there is a disillusioned bureaucracy in this country. And you know this, having been in government, that a disillusioned bureaucracy means a disillusioned government and things don't get done. Is it really, forget all you said about the system. Whatever the system, Mr. Beg, is it a crime for a Prime Minister to meet 77 secretaries and say, please do a good job? And if you're not being allowed to do a good job, come and approach me directly. Is this a really bad thing? And
No,
if
it's
it is
not
a
a
really
crime.
bad thing, then I think it's a bad
no,
thing
it's
which
not
should
a-
be welcomed. If by your definition it's a bad thing.
Now, stop for a Yeah, Arnab, stop for a minute and let me respond. No, it's not a bad thing. Why do we pit one against another? I think don't do that. This would be in the fitness of things. It is not something like bureaucracy versus or pitted against political class. We have to work in tandem and move this country forward.
Well, I think that they should be allowed to do that. They should be allowed to do that. But will the
They should be. Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody has to play its role. Everybody has to contribute, whether he is a bureaucrat or a politician or anybody else. Everybody has to contribute.
Well, I put this question in the court of all the viewers tonight. Last word to Suresh Prabhu. Suresh Prabhu, yes, please. I'll close with you. Will this help cut through red tape, or will there be over-centralization? And Mr. Prabhu, there can also be a situation where the bureaucrats turn into yes men. They just agree with everything the Prime Minister says. And the entire effort in New Delhi will therefore be to read the Prime Minister's mind. So you find out what Mr. Modi's position on issues is, and you come as perfectly close to Mr. Modi's position rather than criticize Mr. Modi's position. This can be a fear.
We seem to be discounting the citizens of India. We seem to believe that democracy doesn't exist.
No, I'm not saying that. Yes,
how
Mr.
many
Prabhu.
people, how many people are privy to what Mr. Modi said to the bureaucrats? He said few things. One, he said that please try to be bold, take your decisions, even if whatever you believe in, you do it. Try to move the things forward. And in fact, he said that if you feel threatened any time from any quarters, you are free to come to me. I will protect you. So what is he telling the bureaucrats? He's not telling the bureaucrat be subservient to me. He's telling the bureaucrat that be bold and try to take action in the interest of the country. Now tell me something. If you want to remove poverty, now we are today among the lowest of the rung of highest number of poor in the world. We are in terms of Human Development Index, we are in the lowest in the rank. How can we rise if both the leadership, the political and the bureaucratic leadership don't work hand in hand and try to take it forward? So Mr. Modi is not trying to centralize it. In fact, he's trying to tell everybody, his ministers, his bureaucrats and probably everybody that please take action, please go ahead, do something good for the country. If you feel any time, any need, either want of something or something.
As I always say, eventually we'll have to see within 6 months.
What else you want?
Whether in 6 months
it is like a father telling the child that please be independent. I am going to support you.
We'll see.
The father telling the child.
We'll see whether in 6 months.
Development in India.
No, we'll see whether in 6 months this unleashes the power of the system. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on debate number 1 on the News Hour tonight.